Modern art, abstract expressionism, pop art, and contemporary art forms. Abstract expressionism. The abstract expressionists were mostly based in New York City and also became known as the New York School. The name evokes their aim to make art, while abstract, was also expressive or emotional in its effect. They were inspired by the surrealist idea that art should come from the unconscious mind and by the automatism of artist Joan Miro. Action painting. One form of abstract expressionism was seen in the works of Jackson Pollock. These were created through what came to be known as action painting. Pollock worked on huge canvases spread on the floor, splattering, squirting, and dribbling paint with seemingly no pre-planned pattern or design in mind. The total effect is one of vitality, creativity, energy made visible. Pollock's first one-man show in New York in 1943 focused worldwide attention on abstract expressionism for the first time. An example of action painting. The Autumn Rhythm, Jackson Pollock, 1950. Color field painting. Another group of artists who came to be known as color field painters used different color saturations, purity, vividness, intensity to create their desired effects. Some of their works were huge fields of vibrant colors, as in the paintings of Mark Rothko and Bernadette Newman. The term color field painting is applied to the work of abstract painters working in the 1950s and 1960s characterized by large areas of more or less flat single color. An example of color field painting. Magenta, Black, Green and Orange by Mark Rothko, 1949. Pictograph approach. It is a more intimate approach in art where artists fill the canvas with repeating picture fragments or symbols, as in the works of Adolf Gottlieb and Lee Krasner. Now, what image do you see in the painting on the left side? The Forgotten Dream by Adolf Gottlieb, 1946. Here are some of the media art techniques that are used in the different art movements. 1. Drawing. Pencil, colored pencil, ink, markers, pastels, and chalk. 2. Painting. Watercolor, acrylic, oil, and tempera. And 3. Mixed media. Collage, assemblage, and other media mixed together. Pop art, op art. By the early 1960s, the momentum of the New York schools slowed down. In its place, a new crop of artists came on the scene, using lighter treatment and flashes of humor, even irreverence, in their artworks. The movements they brought about have come to be called pop art, op art, and conceptual art. Pop art. Like the Dadaist movement that arose after World War I, the pop art movement of the 1960s wanted to make reforms in the traditional values. But unlike the angry, serious tone of the original Dadaists, the pop artists seemed to enjoy nonsense for its own sake and simply wanted to laugh at the world. Their inspirations in their artworks were the celebrities, advertisements, billboards, and comic strips that were becoming commonplace at that time. Hence, the term pop from popular emerged. Roy Lichtenstein, 1923 to 1997, was an American pop artist. During the 1960s, along with Andy Warhol, Jasper Johns, and James Russicus, among others, he became a leading figure in this new art movement. An example of pop art. Marilyn Monroe, Andy Warhol, 1967, and In the Car, by Roy Lichtenstein in 1963. Op art. Another movement that emerged in the 1960s was optical art, or op art. This was yet another experiment in visual experience, a form of action painting with the action taking place in the viewer's eye. In op art, lines, spaces, and colors were precisely planned and positioned to give the illusion of movement. An example of op art: Fall, Bridget, 1963. Conceptual art. Another form of art from the mid-1960s to the mid-1970s, which the idea or concept behind the work is more important than the finished art object. A key difference between a conceptual artwork and a traditional painting or sculpture is that the conceptualist's work often requires little or no physical craftsmanship. Much of the artist's time and effort goes into the concept or idea behind the work, with the actual execution then being relatively quick and simple. An example is the conceptual art piece by Joseph Kosuth. 1 and 3 Chairs by Joseph Kosuth, 1965. An actual chair at the center, with a photograph of the same chair and an enlarged copy of a dictionary definition of a chair. Contemporary art forms. Installation art. Installation art is a contemporary art form that uses sculptural materials and other media to modify the way the viewer experiences a particular space. Usually, life-size or sometimes even larger. Installation art is not necessarily confined to gallery spaces. It can be constructed or positioned in every public or private spaces, both indoor and outdoor. Materials used in today's installation art range from everyday items and natural materials to new media such as video, sound, performance, and computers. The installation artist's manipulation of space and materials has also been called environmental art, project art, and temporary art. Essentially, installation art creates an entire sensory experience for the viewer. Some works allow the viewer to touch or feel, hear, and smell elements that the artist has incorporated in the installation. Thus, there is a strong parallel between installation art and theater. Both play to an audience that is expected to interact with and be affected by the sensory experience that surrounds them. An example of installation art. A Cordillera labyrinth, a spiral labyrinth 45 meters in diameter and 600 meters in length, made of bamboo and reeds, set up at the Cultural Center of the Philippines grounds in 1989. Its center was covered with rocks from a riverbed, creating a sacred space peopled with spiritual figures from which life power emanates. Called Cordillera Labyrinth, Roberto Villanueva, 1989. Passion at Revolution, Passion and Revolution, a forest of bamboo draped with two flags and strewn with debris, a skull, candles, and to one side a book in a wooden box marked by all-seeing eye of God, which seems to be inhabited by some creepy spirit. Passion at Revolution, Santiago Bose, 1989. Performance art. Performance art is a form of modern art in which the actions of an individual or a group at a particular place and in a particular time constitute the work. It can happen anywhere, at any time, or for any length of time. It can be any situation that involves four basic elements: time, space, the performer's body, and a relationship between performer and audience. Performance art does include such activities as theater, dance, music mime, juggling, and gymnastics. However, the term is usually reserved for more unexpected, avant-garde, and unorthodox activities intended to capture the audience's attention. The performer himself or herself is the artist, rather than an actor playing a character as in a stage play. The performance venue may range from an art gallery or museum to a theater, cafe, bar, or street corner. The performance itself rarely follows a traditional storyline or plot. It might be a series of intimate gestures, a grand, theatrical act, or the performer remaining totally still. It may last for just a few minutes or extended for several hours. It may be based on a written script or spontaneously improvised as the performance unfolds. Example is El Gama Penumbra, a shadow play. Thank you.